About 2 weeks ago, I posted an episode about my Blu-ray player dying, and at the end of that episode, I mentioned that I might need to get a new TV. Well, I got the TV, and I thought I would share the experience with you in case you're looking to buy one now or in the future. Maybe this will help you. But first, let me just say, this is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today, what TV I bought, why I bought that TV, what problems I encountered, and what did I watch first on this new TV? The answer to that may surprise you. Let's check it out. The first thing I had to think about buying the new TV is what size do I want to get? Now, my old TV was a Sharp. It was 60 inches. It was a good size for that room. And I found out that you cannot get a 60-inch TV anymore, apparently, either 55-inch or 65-inch. Well, since I already was used to a 60-inch, there's no way I'm going to go down to a smaller screen, 55-inch. I knew I'd be disappointed in that. So I had to figure out how to make a 65-inch TV fit in that space. Then I had to decide, where do I want to buy it? I went to Costco for a couple of reasons. One is they have a very good return policy. Now, in electronics, they have a 30-day return policy, which is still better than a place like Best Buy, which only has a 15-day return policy. The brands they had at Costco were LG, Samsung, Hisense, which I think is now what Sharp used to be, or now it's the new name for Sharp, and then Sony. I ended up going with the Sony, I'll be honest, because of the brand name, for one thing. Specifically, the Sony model, if you want to know what it is, I'll put it down here. And also, the Sony came with a 3-year warranty, and then it was a special. Costco added an additional 2 years for free on the warranty. And so I went with that. The pictures in the stores, when they have all the TVs on, they pretty much all look the same, I think. It's kind of hard to tell from that because they're all using the same sort of demonstration disc, I guess. So problems I encountered with the TV were, the biggest one was fitting it. Now I have like 2 pillars, and then I have a unit, a shelving unit in the middle. And so I measured 10, 15, 20 times. It would fit between the 2 pillars. What I didn't realize was that shelving unit was a little too narrow, and the stands on the TV were too far out, so the stands were not going to fit on that middle unit. I was really rather upset, let's say. I mean, I was at the point where I was measuring the inside of my car to see if it would be big enough to put this TV in my car and take it back to Costco. I figured that's it. It's not going to fit, but we figured out a way to make it fit, putting another couple of shelves on that middle unit, and now it fits. There's only about that much space on each side of the stands, but unless there's a big earthquake, I think it's going to be okay. Now, the other problem was my first impressions of the picture. When I first turned it on, they have this opening screen that Sony has. It's like, wow, big wow factor. And that's a nice big screen. But then the picture, I'll be honest, I wasn't that impressed with it. It seemed kind of dull. It seemed kind of dim. It wasn't really popping. And it seemed like there was sort of like a gray haze over the picture. And I don't know, maybe this is my first HD TV, so maybe that's the way they look. But what helped was going into the settings, the picture settings, and kind of tweaking it and changing it to the way I like it. And the even biggest help was going on YouTube. I found a video where the guy demonstrated on a very similar TV how to change the picture settings and how to make it to your liking. So, if you do get a TV and you're not crazy about the picture, don't be afraid to go in the picture settings and tweak it so it's the way you want it to be. YouTube also helped putting the stands in the TV. We couldn't figure out how to do it. And the person who helped me is very mechanically minded. He couldn't figure it out because the instructions you get, like a lot of instructions nowadays, were just pictures, just illustrations of how to do it. We couldn't figure it out. Again, went to YouTube. There was a couple putting together the exact same TV. Figure it out just like that. Very easy. So YouTube came to the rescue on both those things. Right now, the picture, I'm pretty good with it. It varies in quality. Sometimes the commercials even look better than the regular broadcast program. So the broadcasting and the streaming vary in qualities. Most of the time I'm like, wow, this picture is incredible. Sometimes like, wow, this is not that great. So maybe you guys know better than I do that the quality of the picture coming through, the transmission of it, is probably variable. Another thing I almost forgot to mention was something that was very important that I didn't realize until recently. I realized it when I got the Blu-ray player, and that is the remote. The remote's got to have the features you want on it, and just has to be a nice remote because that's what you're going to be using. So this is the remote for the Sony that I got. It's nice weight to it. It's not too light where you're just going to drop it all the time. It's got some like ridges on here so you can grip it really well so it doesn't flop out of your hand like some of them do. And it doesn't have a keypad for numbers. You do that on the screen or do it with your cable box remote. But I do like it also how it, when you pick it up, it lights up, if you can tell. So that if you're using it in kind of a dark room, you can see what all the buttons are. Now the big question is, of course, let's get into movies. What am I going to watch on this big, brand new HD TV? And you think I'd watch something that has state-of-the-art visuals, something like, The Northman, a film that is just gorgeous to look at. I'll be honest, I wish I had liked it more, but there's no doubt that it's a stunning-looking film. But I didn't go with that. On this brand new TV, instead, I went with Giant from the Unknown from 1958, 77 minutes long, beautiful black and white. It's a low budget B-movie, monster movie. Yep, that's what I went with on this brand new HD TV. Why did I go with this? I was a little agitated because the TV wasn't fitting the way I wanted it to. I was ready to take it back. The picture was underwhelming until I tweaked it, so I needed to just kind of calm down. And I needed what I call cinematic comfort food. Hopefully nobody else has that phrase, but that's what this was to me. It helped me to relax a little bit, actually, from my first world problems. So this takes place in a small town. That's very typical of these type of movies. Something is killing some animals in this small town. Nobody knows what. They call in this professor. Somehow this Spanish conquistador giant from 500 years ago has been given new life, and he's coming around and he's terrorizing the town. Nobody's seen him, but that's what it is. They shot this in Big Bear Lake, California, which is about 100 miles northeast of Los Angeles, resort area. And during the filming, there was a blizzard, which is a lot of problems for a low-budget film. And one funny anecdote in one of the extras here, they said that one of the critics reviewing the film said, boy, there's a lot of fake snow in this film. And the actor who was in the film said, that was not fake. That was real snow we had to deal with. The budget was $55,000. They had 60 days to shoot it in. Buddy Bear plays the giant, and he was 6'8", and he was also in a film I talked about recently, Abbott and Costello, Jack and the Beanstalk. He played the giant in that one. Now, the most interesting thing is Jack Pierce, one of the most famous makeup artists, did the makeup for the giant, and it's good. Jack Pierce did the makeup for those Universal classic monster films. He did the makeup for Frankenstein, The Mummy, I believe, and for The Wolfman, all the original stuff. Richard Cunha was the director. He also directed, several films like this, but one that I talked about before that I like more than this one, actually, called Frankenstein's Daughter. So this has all the low-budget 50s monster movie characteristics you want. The upset townspeople, the suspicious sheriff trying to take control of the situation, a stereotypical female lead who screams. And lately I've been thinking, why do they scream in these films? You'd think they'd call for help. Screaming doesn't seem like a natural thing somebody would do. You just call for help. Why scream? Especially if nobody's around. I don't get it. Anyway, she's very stereotypical. She's, dressed real nicely. They're out there in the woods, and she says, "Oh, you boys have all the fun going after the monster." Shrugs. "Oh well, back to my cooking." So kind of like that. There's a scene where the giant picks up a man, and then it cuts, and he throws him. It's obviously a dummy that he's throwing. and he's also throwing boulders at some of the guys, and these boulders, he's picking them up so easily, and they're just bouncing around like foam rubber, which of course, that's what they are. And then of course you have the corny, bad dialogue, and I think the group Riff Tracks that do like Mystery Science Theater 3000 stuff, they put dialogue to some of these movies. I think they did a version of this too, which I can understand that happening. You know, a lot of people said they saw this on TV in the 60s and maybe the 50s growing up, you know, as a kid. I've seen a lot of films like that growing up. This one I was totally unfamiliar with. I have a lot of affection for these types of films. So I'm going to give this one 3 boulders out of 5. So this is a film detective disc. I've talked about them before. They don't make discs of the greatest films that are ever made, but I like the choices they're making, and I like how they package them. There are some extras on here that are about 10 to 50 minutes long, which I think is a good time amount for these extras. And one is about the is a critic, a film expert, talking about the production of the film, the background of the film, and about the director. And another one is one of the guys that was in the film. He's a much older man now, of course, talking about his experiences on the film, his experiences in Hollywood, how he used to live quite comfortably in Hollywood on $40 a month. There's a booklet, which is not that long. Well, there's some artwork too, of course. This cover, this, by the way, never happens in the film. And the booklet is about maybe 10 pages long, very informative, glossy, nicely done. There's all about the film. There's a picture of Jack Pierce applying the makeup to the actor who's playing the giant. And there's another photo here I wanted to show you, which is him showing up him holding up the female lead, and this never happens in the film either, by the way. So it looks good, it sounds good, and Giant from the Unknown. Where can you see this? Well, you can buy it. I wouldn't spend $20 on this unless you're a real big fan of these types of films. I think I spent $15. I think that's a fair price when it was on sale. You can rent it. And if you're really curious, you can see it on YouTube. I saw it listed like about 3 times. I have a feeling the quality is pretty poor. But if you just want to check it out, you can check it out there. So Giant from the Unknown, some B-movie monster film goodness coming your way. So feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down here about anything I talked about today, the TV or the film or these types of films in general that you may have seen growing up. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, thank you so much again for watching. Thank you for subscribing. See you next time.